USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Brooks Running reminds us that we're all powered by something. Whether it's the me-time energy of a run after a day at the office, the electrifying energy of your first marathon, or the infectious energy of a group run with your friends. No matter what energy powers you, Brooks has gear specifically designed to unleash it. So lace up and let it out. Let's run there. Visit brooksrunning.com today to learn more.
Vitamin Water Zero Sugar has great taste, zero BS, and obviously zero sugar. For those with zero room in their calendar, zero patience for slow walkers, those who get 0 hours of sleep on a Saturday night, have zero filter, zero given, and zero interest in grabbing a plain, boring water. Grab a delicious Vitamin Water Zero Sugar today.
Brace the rudders! Raise the sails! Raise the sails!
Captain, an unidentified ship is approaching. Over.
Roger. Wait, is that an enterprise sales solution?
Reach sales professionals, not professional sailors. With LinkedIn ads, you can target the right people by industry, job title, and more. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started today at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
Hi, this is Tony Ruggiero here on the Tour Coach Podcast, where we bring you the best mental coaches, fitness experts, teachers, players, everything from my journey in the game of golf to help you learn to play better golf, teach better golf, and enjoy the game. Come on in. We're going to have some fun.
All right. So joining us here on Golf Coach Development and the Tour Coach is my good friend Justin Parsons. Adam Schriber is going to try to join us here in just a bit, coming off his big U.S. Open win with J.J. Spawn. And I think, Justin, I want your thoughts on it first. But I thought the cool thing about J.J., I mean, it just shows you, from you saw all the stats and the stuff. And I think Monday morning qualifier guy put the thing up of his list of years and where he was in Canada. Tour card bouncing back and forth. I mean, it just shows you how hard the journey is, and not everybody is a Scotty Scheffler, a Justin Thomas, or a Rory. And there's a lot of different paths. And I think you can, as a coach and teacher, I use it as motivation for some of my guys that are Corn Ferry guys or play in Canada. Because I'm sure, Justin, you've had guys that get to the point also where they question, is it worth to keep going and so forth like that. Curious what your takeaways were from it and what these folks can learn.
Well, I mean, certainly, JJ has put his head up in some big golf tournaments and won a couple of golf tournaments in the last couple of years. And I think we need to make sure that we don't detract from the incredible accomplishments of a player.
Right.
And I think we always want to try and make sure that we use the primary is always the player. The player is the person who puts the performance in. They're the brave ones under pressure trying to tackle that very, very difficult golf course like JJ did. I think that he has exemplified somebody who has worked very, very hard to become technically proficient, and I think Adam has been a big part of that. An excellent ball striker. You could see just how reliable his little left to right shot, how many fairways he hit. He played a fabulous opening round, and he also played a fabulous closing round when he was, 5 over after 6 holes, and a lot of people would have taken that this day's not going to go well for me. I'm gonna, I can kind of mail it in from here, and he kind of did the opposite and got himself into a situation where he was given the opportunity to go win a golf tournament. And he did that. So. From my side, I think you're right. I think it does, it should add fuel to a lot of players. When you have those really supremely difficult golf courses, they do level the playing field an awful lot. You drive it as far as you like at Oakmont, and it really doesn't matter. So I mean, if you're a JJ Spawn or a Brian Harman or somebody like that who really puts the pedal down, hits a lot of fairways, stays in control of their emotions, stays in control of their strategy, don't get overawed by these big moments. And all of a sudden, JJ comes out as a US Open champion. I was thrilled for him.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Really good lad as well. I've been fortunate to have a few practice rounds with him and walking with Adam. And I was absolutely thrilled for Adam too. Funny, I sent my dad. My dad said to me, "Who would you like to win?" Because none of my guys are anywhere near winning the tournament. I see, I'd love to see JJ win because.
By the way, that hot tip I gave everybody, Harris English on the front end. I
know. Well, it is what it is. But Harris looked great all week. But watching Adam work, he works so hard. He helped build Anthony Kim's golf swing, which was an incredibly, wonderfully athletic, repeatable, on plane, functional golf swing. He's taken a player like Sam Ryder, who's a I would class Sam as a certainly a friend of mine and somebody I've spoken to, and I don't think by his own admission you would think that Sam would class himself as an unbelievable ball striker, but Adam has definitely, through all of his systems, he's helped Sam achieve things from a ball striking perspective, really just through dedication and hard work to many of Adam's systems. And then when you see JJ, who maybe similar to Brian Harman or someone like that, who's he's not a massive guy in stature, sort of mid-range ball speed, and has really understood how to control the club. And I'm very proud to kind of call Adam one of my friends out there and somebody that I bounce ideas off, and we talk about golf swings and stuff like that. And seeing one of those guys who just works so hard, and it really doesn't matter who at what stage their careers are at. Adam will take people on, and he'll do their best for them, and he loves the process of getting people better at hitting the golf ball.
Yeah, and again, that's what I love about it. He'll take anybody basically at any stage, and he jumps head first in, and also head first over a bike last year, I think it was too. But I mean, and a character, but a great guy and great coach.
Well, I think that's worth talking about, Tony, because I can't remember where that happened to him. Was it Greensboro or somewhere? But yeah, he for those of you who don't know Adam too well, and he certainly wouldn't probably tell you all of this himself. He'll prefer to talk about the golf swing, but he travels to a lot of tournaments in a camper van. He navigates his way to the golf course or to the local stores and stuff on is it an electric bike or is it a pedal? It's like a half electric or half pedal. So anyway, he came off this thing and went over the handlebars.
This will shock you. I haven't ridden a bike in a while. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, me neither. But he came off this bike and I think he shattered his pelvis. He did something to his spine. And at one point, we were really quite concerned that we were never going to see Adam out on the on the ranges again. And for him to have had that happen to him, come through that, continue to work as hard, and also kind of testament to the close bond he has with his players, that his players hung in there with him, and he wasn't able to be out very much. And I think a couple of people maybe kind of, I think Dana Dahlquist helped a couple of people, and a couple of guys kind of stepped in, but really cool to see him come back from really a nasty injury, because he's not a spring chicken anymore, and be able to come through and have one of his guys win the US Open, which again was just so cool for him.
We were talking before we went live or recorded or whatever about you talked about traveling in an RV and all that, and how hard he works, and that's not always as glamorous as people think. And I prefaced that with, I had somebody from one of these groups that mentioned about, like, hey, that's all, I want to just teach tour players. I want to come watch you teach tour players. And I was like, I don't know that any of us went into this just thinking that's all we're going to do, but I certainly don't think it's as glamorous as some people think.
I agree with you. It's there are always, even from just speaking from my perspective, there are a lot more difficult, challenging days than there are celebratory type of days. And then when you combine that with the fact that you're all around the country, and in Adam's case, he's in the latter half of his life. He's not he's not got young kids and things anymore, but he's delved headfirst into golf and into the way the body works. And we've seen him on the range with all sorts of systems, whether it be little balance boards and bands and things like that. And he's very unafraid to go ahead and deliver his system to the player when the player needs it. And furthermore, I would say that his existence is probably quite lonely. I don't know that he's he's up there. He's where tonight? He's in Detroit and he's on a range with someone tonight, which is why he's not chatting to us. So, he's right out there, kind of like a lone wolf, just getting on with trying to make players better. And further to that, worked really, really hard with JJ for many years. To your point, where JJ's on and off kind of Canada Tour, Corn Ferry Tour, working his way up. So I mean, if JJ's not making that much money at that point, Adam's certainly not making much money from JJ at that point either. So I think those of you who look at kind of what we do, have to recognize that there's a lot of sacrifices that come from what we do, and Adam's someone who has made those sacrifices always with a smile on his face and sometimes with a broken pelvis, but it's always good to see him out there.
We have any questions from anybody? Anything anybody wants to talk about? Well, hopefully Adam's going to be able to join us here shortly. May or may not, don't know. Hopefully he's coaching the guy up and the guy starts striking it. But we've all had those evening sessions. I can tell you, nobody wants to be there at 7:30 on the round.
No,
right after the first round. So anybody have any questions or anything they want to talk about?
I'll tell you one more quick Schriber story, T-ball.
Oh, this will be good.
Yeah, it's a kind of proves to how much he loves golf, like JP was saying. So 24 players, I think it was Saturday, was when Sam Ryder made the most birdies in a round at the Players Championship, I think. Is that correct? Was that Saturday?
That rings a bell, yeah.
Friday or Saturday. I got the ticket, thankfully, and Jackson doesn't drink much, but we had a couple tequilas. We were sitting on 17. Here comes Sam Ryder from 16 green to 17, and who is hustling through people as best he can to get a vantage point to watch him hit one on 17, Adam Schriber.
Yeah.
And he goes to so many tour events and rounds and watches his guys actually play the game. That guy, I think, epitomizes the love of golf, but also sacrifice for the game.
Well, he was talking,
and also
caddies
Tony as well. I caddied in Napa, and I think he may have. He's caddied 2 or 3 times. Even since his injury, I think he's been on the bag for a couple of people, which, with what happened to him was pretty remarkable.
And I mean, we saw him. We sat at a table with him at the U.S. Open on Wednesday evening before, and he was talking about a golf tournament he was getting ready to go play in too.
That's right.
Yeah,
he loves it. Loves playing. Goes.
Yeah.
Hits balls. Finds places to go and play when he's on the road and stuff like that. And you gotta really admire someone who still loves doing that. And he always, every time I have a conversation about him playing, he goes, if I just get to the tees that are right for me, I can still put a beat down on some of these guys. As long as I'm not going to do it from 7,500 yards, but if you put me on 6-8. I can still hang with these guys. He loves the competition. Yeah. And it'd be worth talking, Tony, about some of the, from my understanding with Adam, he really builds golf swings from the ground up. He looks very much at how the lower body works, similar to some degree the way that you will train a lot of your players.
I like all his stuff. I'll be honest, I wouldn't say steal it, but I watched all the stuff he puts out, and if you were to ask me, like somebody say that teaches like in a similar type way and has things like he would be the top of my list. I mean, and Jackson, who's worked for both of us, could probably answer that question better than anybody. But I love what he does. It's very athletic, very much from the ground up.
A lot of single leg work that he does. You see his players doing a lot of single work stuff. And then, he really gets into core stability and how the core responds to striking skills. It was fun watching his Instagram stuff. Those of you who haven't seen it need to go on there, and he puts these lovely little things up where it's like really fast strikes on medicine balls and throwing medicine balls against walls and things like that. And he performs all these himself to obviously try and keep that ball speed and that strike up as he does it. But and I think similar to you, he likes to put in that foundation of things. I've asked him through the years about what he thinks about some of the work I'm doing with Harris or with Brian Harmon. And more recently, he talked to me about JJ's golf swing, and we talked a little bit about the fact it gets a little bit looser at the top with his driver, but it kind of has to, he has to kind of complete a little bit more and get a little bit more ball speed out of it.
Jackson, he's trying to get in. Can you send him the link via text?
And he and I kind of talked about whether JJ's golf swing needed to be more stable through the bag, and that was a really, it's really cool talking to an expert like him from my perspective, and then to see him go on to the success he's had is pretty cool. So,
hey, it's Paris. I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and Auto Camp, I just slept under them. Picture me serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This episode is brought to you by Netflix. Becoming the most valuable sports franchise in the world doesn't happen without risk. A man who's willing to bet it all, and the players ready to make their own luck. America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, is the story of the 1990s Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones's impact on NFL history. Featuring interviews with iconic 90s players and more. Watch America's Team, The Gambler and His Cowboys, August 19th, only on Netflix.
You're tuned into Auto Intelligence, live from Auto Trader, where data, tools, and your preferences sync to make your car shopping smooth.
They're searching inventory.
Oh, yeah.
They find what you need.
They're gonna find it.
You can make a budget for your wallet to help you succeed. Pricing's precise and true.
So true.
It's smarter car shopping.
Ooh.
Just for you.
Oh, it's just for you. Ooh. Find your next ride at autotrader.com. Powered by Auto Intelligence.
You open the Walmart app and boom! The Reebok and Hanes styles that keep your kiddos on their A game delivered in as fast as an hour. That's right, those comfy Hanes Performance Crew socks they love in the app. And the coolest shirts, shorts, hoodies, and leggings from Reebok? Yep, Walmart's got them. They'll feel so focused in their new gear they won't even notice you freaking out on the sidelines. Shop Reebok and Hanes in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new. Subject to availability, fees and restrictions apply.
All right, well, let's hear it. What's it been like? Anything changed lately?
No, not really. I mean, it's, right back to reality. PGB tour.
I got a couple questions that a couple of folks had actually sent me. Sure. If it's okay, Jackson, I was going to read a couple of them that some people had texted me. Was kind of going through when you get a player. We commented, we gave you the longest introduction by far and greatest introduction we've ever given a teacher on one of these. But, talking about all the work you've done with JJ. And, I think people don't always understand that the path to winning a major or winning a tour event isn't always a straight line up, and there's good times and there's bad times. How did you help JJ during the times when they weren't always good? And how do you approach players that you get that aren't at the top and working their way up, handle those ups and downs?
Yeah, I mean, it's like, honestly, like I've been, we've had some dark moments, we were searching for the right matchups for him. He wasn't hitting it great. He was finding a way to miss cuts. I mean, this was the end of last year. We're 160th on the money list, 8 weeks maybe to play in the season, something like that. Looking like, hey, we better get it together or we're going to be looking for a job. So it's a little bit of stat work, like analyzing, hey, buddy, if we do this better, we got 2 shots around here or whatever, but then there were some demons, missing 2 footers to miss a cut, donking wedges in the water to miss a cut. It's, hitting the odd driver, like out of nowhere, been driving it great. All of a sudden we hit it off the planet to miss the cut, like stuff like that. So they were definitely not, I don't think it was mechanical, you know. I think that was fear of failure and, you know, stuff like that. I think one of the biggest things he's learned is giving himself the permission to fail, you know. And I think that's massive for any professional golfer. You know, if you're going to play at your highest level, you got to give yourself the permission to fail. And I think he figured that out somewhere along the way. And I think that unlocked a whole new world for him. You know, and I made up some stuff, honestly, for taking my way. Like, you know, told some stories that were maybe embellished a little.
No way.
You know? What's that?
No way, really?
Yeah, maybe. Just to breed confidence, you know. To paint the right picture, you know, like, I mean, but I believe what I say when they're swinging good, you know, like I was like, dude, you got to envision 2 pillars down both sides of the fairway. You know, this golf swing ain't reaching either of those pillars on either side. So just let it go, bro. You know, that kind of stuff. So, and I fully believe what I'm saying when I say it, but, you know, told him that Anthony used to do that. And maybe that wasn't so true, but.
Strives, a lot of the young coaches that listen to the stuff, and it's so cool to have you on. Like, you know, we know how important it is to swing the golf club properly and to be in good physical condition and all of that. But it's, you know, again, it's interesting from my side. Like the first thing that really comes out of your mouth from these experiences, the fact that you've kind of mentored him mentally a little bit and gone through some dark times, and we really were talking about, you know, in our introduction to you, how much you sacrifice and how many difficult times there are out on tour. And, you know, if you can elaborate, like I always say, there's a lot more difficult days than there are good days.
100%. And, you know, and yeah, I mean, I think that's the key for all these guys, right? If we can, like, none of our stuff is any good unless we can teach them to get the heck out of their own way and trust it. Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, otherwise, you know, and I mean, this one's true. Like, you know, like Anthony gave himself the permission to fail at 15, you know, and I tell all my guys that story. And, you know, this kid lost player of the year, AJGA at 5th Titan, and he's like, that's the last time, Schriber, I try and not hit a ball somewhere. It's like, from now on, I can live with myself if I go down trying to hit it where I want to hit it. And that's massive, dude.
100%.
You know, because how else are you going to figure out if you got it or not?
Right.
You know, at the end of the day. But yeah, and I've been spoiled. I mean, I feel like he spoiled me because, yeah, maybe the tough life he had, golf was never going to be more important than golf should be. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And most of us don't live in that reality, you know, and like, I mean, I for the longest time until Scotty came along, honestly, I had the question, is it possible to be the best in the world without a backstory? You know, without something causing some big chip on your shoulder. You know what I mean? To create that FU that you need to be the best. All right. Are the shuttles aren't leaving yet, though, are they?
No.
All right, cool.
That's more of the glamorous tour. The glamorous parts of tour life.
Thanks for letting me know. Shutting it down tonight, baby.
Shrives the glamorous part: porta potties and shuttles.
Yeah, right. Like if people, like that was all that U.S. Open stuff was great. I was just on this range with Sam for, you know, hour and a half after we shot even par when everybody's lighting this joint up.
Yeah,
it's been swinging good, and you know we're trying to figure out why we didn't perform. You know, you've been there. We've all been there too many times, man.
I got a question for you because I deal with. I'm just curious how you when you have a guy shoot even par, he's been playing great golf, right? And he comes in after that, everybody's lighting it up. What's your approach? What I mean, and explain that there's not a big difference between shooting even and lighting that place up. And where
I know, but it's like figuring out. Like he lost some face control, which kind of killed our wedge numbers, killed the confidence on some tough pins. you know, that we got to be able to get after. So I actually feel like it was a really productive session, you know, and he figured it out again.
Mm-hmm.
That's like, you know, like I think that's what we got to do, especially on a Thursday, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Got to lead him down a path where he figures it out and he's got something that he feels like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to go get it tomorrow, you know? So
Take us through the week, starting with Thursday with JJ last week, and what, you know, kind of what you did afterwards or before, and your conversations. Just always curious. I did this with Justin after, you know, a little bit.
I tell everybody, Justin knows this. I tell everybody this Lou Holtz story, right? Like I taught Lou once, and he's like, "Adam, you're a great coach," whatever, however he talks, you know. And he's like, "I'm gonna give you a little piece of advice," and I'm listening because obviously he knows what the heck he's doing, right? He's like, these players, you need to either put your foot as far up their ass as you can or your arm around their shoulder. Nothing in between. They either need love or tough love. I was like, yes, sir. Yes, sir. And he's like, you know what? It's not always as obvious as you think. So, like, we're walking off the range on Thursday, and JJ got, like, this is like the best warm up of the year, right? And he's like, bro, I need a Lou Holtz talk. I'm like, what? You know, thinking like, you gotta be feeling it right now. And he's like, man, I'm like, what's going on, dude? You didn't miss a shot. He's like, yeah, I feel like I gotta play perfect golf and this place still might eat my lunch. I'm like, first off, that doesn't exist. Perfect golf. I said, secondly, like, players, did you play perfect golf? You know, you haven't showed up with perfect golf. If we ever do, we're gonna win by 10, but I don't think perfect golf, such a thing exists. I said, what exists and what you did unbelievable at players and what we need this week is a perfect attitude, you know? And I said, look, our tagline from now till the end of the week is going to be, are you going to react or respond? You know, because you're going to hit some shots at Oakmont that you think are money and they're going to turn out like ass. Right? I mean, quite frankly, you know, and you're going to get some breaks. And, you know, the irony of the whole week, you know, so he went and he played, and I mean, bogey free. Are you kidding me? Like,
unreal.
You know, like, yeah, 900 to 1, unreal. But, right? Like, outrageous.
Wish you could have told me ahead of time.
No shit, right? And it's certainly why it wasn't what I was seeing coming off the range, right? You know, but I mean, and then it's like, you know, everything's good. Not really any issues the rest of the week. You know, like we talked about it. I'm like, bro, you're swinging so good. Like, get your numbers, decide on your shot, make sure you decide a smart shot, and then let it go, man. You like, it's the best you swung since I've known you. Your misses are going to be tiny, you know? So just trust it and let it go. So what's interesting is like I feel like we lost the players because of the rain delay, right?
Okay.
And if we play Sunday night, my head, at least we get it done. Okay. And I was pissed, and, you know, the weather kicked our butt. We didn't get to finish Sunday night, and we came back with a wind switch and the Irish kid on St. Patty's Day. Not a lot in our favor, right? You know, like, let's face it. Okay. And then we just watched full send off the first tee and flush it on 17 in the drink, you know? And like, what are you going to do as a coach? I mean, he performed. We tried to do everything we could. We got the track man into the wind, practiced a shot on 17, same setup, same line, everything. Thought I was doing everything right? Mad fail. And so you got to spin it, right? Like, he performed, he hit a good shot. You don't want him to take away a negative. So you're like, bro, it's going to come back to us in a bigger, more meaningful situation, you know? And so, like, I feel like we don't win this tournament without that rain delay, right? Because the way he got effed on those first 8 holes and the attitude he had in the locker room was pretty scary, you know? And so, you know, in the locker room, I was like, all right, here comes the size 15, you know where. You know, because he's just pitching. And I mean, he's like, can you believe these breaks? And I'm like, no, the golf course bent you over, buddy. Like, that's as bad a breaks as I've ever seen anybody get. We can leave right now. I said, but will we have taken 4 back with 10 to play? You know, like who wouldn't have taken that at the start of the week, right? So, you know, like you can go play these last 10 and make this moment bigger than it is, or you can realize those two little girls are what's really important and just go compete like you know how and put golf where you want it. I'm like, I promise if you make it bigger than it is, you're not going to like yourself come Monday, Tuesday. And I think that's what he did well, you know? Went back out, reset his attitude, and he goes to me, I was doing everything you said. I was getting my number. I was fully trusting the process. I was letting it go. I even did it the first 4 holes today. But after that break on 4, now I've been guiding that son of a bitch everywhere. And I'm like, well, the choice is yours, bro. I said, you know what works, man. You know? I said, no regrets, you know? So super proud of the kid, man. He's
awesome.
He's really good, man. He's really good. He's a straight flusher, man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's a great kid and a great dad. That stuff, you know.
That's more important.
You guys know how important that is to me. So, you know,
Brilliant.
It's cool stuff.
We have any questions, Jackson, or me and JP just gonna keep asking?
You can keep firing, T-Ball.
When you started with him, Shribes, when you first started working with him, like what type of stuff have you done from a golf swing perspective? Like, you know, where did you start? Where did you go? And you know, what kind of things did you hone on? I love the way you teach, by the way. I love the stuff you do with all the drills and exercises.
Yeah, he was going into extension when we started. You know what I mean? So we worked his body and we worked his feet and his pelvis so he didn't hump it basically on the downswing. But what's interesting, and it took me a minute to figure out, is he likes his arms nice and up in front of him, which is, if I had a model, that probably isn't the one I'm teaching. Exactly, you know? And the way he works his feet, he can hit a nice little push fade off it, you know? So it's a fade from underneath, if you will, or fade from on plane with a lot of rotation.
Mm-hmm.
And it took me a little bit to understand the matchup exactly that he wanted, and I felt like, you know, gave him the most confidence, in all honesty.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it really isn't, you know, it isn't exactly like what I was used to, but I like it. You know, and I like.
Stripes.
Go ahead.
Further to that, for you know, again for these guys sort of listening, you know, obviously you've got an idea in your mind as to that we all do as to how you'd like the golf club to be swung, and then JJ, obviously a very talented player, comes and he's got a little bit of a different feel, and you've then adapted to what he felt and what gave him confidence. And I think it's very interesting, and for those younger coaches, just how much that you have to put the player first in those situations.
Yeah, I think you do that better, as good as anybody I know, man. You know, like the varieties of guys you teach, and they all swing nice and all have room for error, yet they're definitely not cookie cutter models. You know,
I appreciate that.
I really do, and it's like, I mean, that's how I'm learning, is from that stuff, you know, and all what we're all doing, you know, and yeah, it's a different matchup than like what I would have said was my model, but it's a powerful matchup, especially for what he can do. You know what I mean? And
well, when I see a guy being able to aim down the left half of the fairway and just stripe it for 4 days around a place like Oakmont, where your heart's in your mouth because you know anytime you miss it, you're going to make a bogey or worse. I mean, that was incredible golf.
No, it's nice, man. You know, and it's nice to understand what makes them feel that, you know, and it's a little different than like, it's a little different than if you had a kid at 14 and you're going to make him as strong in all the areas you wanted to make them, and how you would design that golf swing, right? But he's obviously very good, was an All-American in college, you know, never really had a coach, kind of did it all on his own, you know, tinkered with a couple coaches on tour, never really had much success. But so he's obviously got boatloads of talent.
Yeah.
You know? And then it's understanding what his body can and can't do, and you know, taking advantage. Like, his feet are his superpower, in my opinion. You know, like, he's a skateboarder. For him to generate, like, he's generating, you know, mid-high 170s with not much effort off of that little frame, you know, and I think that's pretty damn efficient. So, you know, and like he's communicated really well through it because that's helped, you know, that's everything to a coach, right? Like you're only as good as how well they communicate to you as far as being able to lead them down the right path.
100%.
You know? And maybe I'm not saying it the best way, but
no, you're saying it perfect.
That's
you're
what
saying
it's
it
all
perfect,
about,
right?
you know? So it's like, and the mind stuff, man, without any of that, none of our work works.
Right.
You know? Like we got to free them up somehow too. So we all got to be a little Doc Rotella at times or whatever, you know?
We have any questions from anybody for Shribes? We got about 7 minutes because we set this to start at 7 and we're not very technologically advanced. Any of us could work with Zoom.
And there's a shuttle in Detroit.
Anyway, yeah, we don't want
missed
you to miss
it already.
the shuttle. Yeah,
it's not like I got to walk through a bad neighborhood or anything to get back.
couldn't think of a better town for it to happen. But
right. Oh man, the best was when I'm on my electric bike in Houston and not in a great spot, and my phone dies and no GPS. Now my electric bike is blinking because it's dying, and I'm like, oh boy, this is gonna get interesting. Unfortunately, I limped into somewhere I recognize, but yeah.
Jackson, I think we had a question. If you want to read it real quick, we got 7 minutes, 6 minutes.
Can you elaborate more on the matchups you found to make JJ better?
Yeah, like so his matchup would be, say, less of, you know, like I would have said Anthony had the traditional load, like spine to the right, upper body kind of slightly off the ball, you know, looking for that diagonal line at the top, so to speak. You know, JJ's almost like more like a Scotty, where the pelvis is shifted to the right, upper body's or spine's almost zero at the top, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's been pretty good bit of rise in the lower body and hopefully some tuck, right? So now it sits down, expands, and he can really leverage the ground with his feet. Like it's all designed to really take advantage of his superpower, really, which I think is his feet and his ability to turn, right?
It's interesting, Shribes, that you mentioned that because you know I think Nicholas shared that pattern with Scheffler. Louis Oosthuizen also shares that kind of pattern.
Yeah,
that little
I agree with you.
That little lateral load, and it's a difficult thing to teach because you get them you get a guy into reverse spine, and then all sorts of terrible things happen. But there's that little nuanced ability to load the pelvis and stay centered without getting into reverse spine. That's really interesting.
Right. And the right push for the feet through the feet and that load creates a natural fall, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And a nice push out, you know? So it's like fallback seems to be the nemesis to me for that pattern.
Yes.
Right.
Right side bend and
too much right side bend, too much fallback, too much lower half out from under you.
Yeah.
Right.
Not a good extension pattern, that one.
I'm getting some kind of funky ass marketing call here.
Tell them you're not interested.
I'm not. Spam Central. All right, there.
Jackson, we got anything else? We've got 3 minutes.
Sir.
Well, Shribes, thanks for taking the time to do this. I know you guys.
Yeah, sorry, I'm such a cluster, man. You know how it is. So.
Totally. Congratulations. Well deserved and happy for you.
Shribes, are you going to Scotland? Are you going to Scotland?
I am.
Beautiful.
How about that?
You going to take the RV?
I'm not taking the RV. I'm going to Scotland and Ireland.
Beautiful. Hey, I'm going to take you to a couple of places in Portrush.
Hey, JP, I want to stay a few days in Ireland, so I got to get a few hot spots from it.
Hey, I'll hook you up. Yeah.
All right. Love it.
Thank
you, brother.
Congratulations.
You
guys are the best, man. I miss you guys. See you soon.
You're the best.
Take care.